Video games. We all play them with different reasons. Some played for fun, others played for comfort, others to de-stress, others playing it for the sense of wonder and achievement. Some play video games to be competitive, and for some, they play video games to immerse themselves into the world that the developers had made, like readers who read a good book or a novel. And sometimes the experiences in these games can inspire us or can have a massive impact in our lives in a lot of ways. Like how Team Fortress 2 not only got me into PC gaming, but computers as a whole. Or Doki Doki Literature Club reignited my passion, love, and respect for literature. Video games, like any form of art or media, can really have an impact on someone's life, regardless of age, race, gender, etc. And I'm really happy I got to grow up and have these experiences in games since they helped shape who I am today. Hi, I'm Rory, your local Philippines trans girl. These games gave me hints that are subtle as someone screaming your name into the background. It made me realize who I am, and it forced me to come out of the closet, and it made me transgender. Now for context, ever since I was a little baby Rory, I'd always been confused about how I wanted to present myself. I was always interested in makeup, dresses, hairstyling, but my family would always say that's only for girls. So throughout my life, I'd always just go with whatever my parents bought for me, even though there was this blooming anxiety around me saying, I don't like this. And now, after years of internally screaming and trying my best to conform myself had passed, the year 2020 had moved around the corner, the year when, a major event occurred, and throughout the early 2020s, I had learned so much about myself and changed for the better. From always trying to be masculine, just straight up copying male characters' style that I liked, to now being comfortable and original with how I present myself today. Now, I still do draw some inspiration from girl characters, but the difference is that I still try to add my own style to it instead of just straight up copying it. Now, obviously, there are more events that had happened to me during the 2020s, but I want to highlight and look back at the games that had helped me come out and realize who I wanted to be. Now, there are 3 suspects that made me transgender, and I'll be discussing them in order, and by that I mean we'll first take a look at the game that lit the fuse essentially, all the way to the game that just exploded right in my face. And the first game that had lit the fuse for me was Stardew Valley, a cozy style 2D pixelated game that had come out in 2016. Now at first glance you might think, how the heck did this 2D farm game make you transgender? Well, my loyal subjects, the answer is one Regina George type blonde character in the game, and if you've played Stardew Valley, I think you know where I'm going with this. So for context, in my personal Stardew save, way before I came out, I played as the female farmer, and I had romance Haley, cause she's the best character in Stardew, and you cannot change my mind about that. And while one day I was just browsing YouTube, I came across an animatic of Good Luck Babe starring Haley and the female farmer. And I remember just loving the ship and was all for it. The classic lovable trope of mean girl but has a soft side. Now, while I loved the animatic, I really couldn't help but notice there was another feeling that I had while watching it. And at the time, I didn't know what it was. And looking back at it, it was pretty much me being envious. I loved Yuri post-transition, and I still love Yuri to this day. If you couldn't tell, watching the Haley X Farmer animatic at the time, I wasn't aware I was feeling envious, but I definitely had the thought of, I wish I could experience being in a lesbian relationship. Now, Stardew I would say is the game that lit the fuse to the rocket, and The Sims 4 is the rocket flying upwards. Now, The Sims 4 is probably the most obvious reason why it affected me this way, since you can literally switch genders at any time. So, I was playing as a self-insert of mine in the game, as a male sim. A few months passed and I felt more and more anxious and depressed while I played the sim. So I created a new sim that was supposed to be a quote-unquote gender-bent version of myself. And I was really happy playing that sim for a while. But to me, it wasn't really enough, since it was just a version of me and not really the main me. So I went back to my old sim and switched genders with the caste system. And oh my, I felt an enormous wave of gender dysphoria because she was so cute. And I say this as the rocket launching since it still didn't make me realize that I was in fact transgender, even though at that point I couldn't come up with an explanation for it anymore. I still very much denied it. After The Sims 4, my thoughts were very much uncontrollable at this point. I kept thinking and wishing I was born a girl. I kept wishing that I would one day wake up as a girl. I started to present myself as a femboy in my online handles, and even after all of that, I refused to acknowledge or accept that I may in fact be trans. Until the final game blew all of that out of the water and landed right in front of me. Baldur's Gate 3. An RPG based off of the Dungeons & Dragons IP that came out in 2023, and me playing it later that year. A game where there's literally so many ways you can solve problems, different story outcomes, different relationships, tons of situations you can get into and miss, and just an amazing character customization that this game has, which leads me to why this game made me realize via a slap to the face. A very strong slap, might I add. Starting off in the character customization, I had a real hard time deciding whether or not I wanted to play as a guy or a gal. Because at this time, the egg was spilling out, the shell barely holding it in, the rocket was about to explode. And I had a rule for myself at the time, which was I can only play as a woman if said woman had some sort of personality. If not, I had to play as a man, which I hated. But this game was known to be such an immersive experience, so I really wanted to play as a girl. So with my 1000 IQ big brain, I had a loophole, which was using my OC. With this, I can play as a girl with the technicality that this character isn't me. But this was fruitless in the end, since throughout my playthrough, the more I played, the less and less I forgot I was role-playing a character and just played it as myself, and I loved it. I cannot express the amount of joy and happiness I felt every time someone in the game would say that I'm a girl or a woman. But for some reason that still didn't manage to crack the egg or explode the rocket. What tipped me over the edge though was the very first date with Shadowheart. At this point I was nearing my breaking point, and while I was playing the scene, I was also listening to Good Luck Babe, and when I succeeded an inside skill check to kiss her, some lines from Good Luck Babe, suddenly it had a whole new meaning to me at the time. I could always just say it's just the way I am. I could make a new excuse, another stupid reason. I'd have to stop the entire world just to stop this feeling. Crap. I guess I am trans. And the rest is history. After that, I fully embraced it. I presented myself in a more femme way in my online handles and IRL. I changed my pronouns in my accounts to she, her. I grew out my hair, etc. It honestly felt like unclogging your nose. The amount of relief I felt was tremendous. I've never felt more like myself than ever before. I'm really glad that these games finally made me realize who I am, and it has been such a journey for me to find myself and who I really am as a person. It has been a year since I came out, so what's next? Well, I am in the process of transitioning, and I'll leave it at that because I've already shared so much in this video, and all you need to know is that I'm doing good. How about you? Comment down below. I'm sorry if this video is a little bit different than my other videos where I analyze video games. I really just wanted to share some media that was really important to me and how it made me finally realize who I am, and I wish this video is also an inspiration to the sisters in the closet. That is all for today. The next video is all about my new hyperfixation and my new favorite game, Sorry We're Closed. So please stay tuned for that. And if you like the video, please do leave a like and subscribe. That is all, and I hope you all have a lovely day ahead.